Hello and welcome. This is AgentXP and welcome back to another author playthrough. This is my 23rd released level. This one is a little different to my usual content. This is a remake of some of the Paris section of AOD using the TR3 engine. Please be sure to read the important information included on the level description before playing, as there are some important TR3 settings that you need to be aware of. I've highlighted two here on the title screen relating to gamma and music dialogue, but there are a couple of other things that you may want to note in order to ensure that you have an optimum game experience. Right, let's go adventuring.
This looks like a safe area, but I need to find a way out.
And so we find ourselves in another cold, dark city. Great. Joking aside, this project began with this level. I'd always wanted to create a Parisian backstreets style level in the level editor, and one Sunday afternoon I decided to actually give it a go, and this is the result. Originally I only intended this project to be one level, but I ended up liking it so much that it grew, and it now encompasses a good chunk of the Paris levels. Just to manage expectations, this is definitely not a remake of the entire AOD game. This is just a section of Paris. That's why I called the game TR3OD Escape from Paris. I may someday extend the game to include a little more of Paris. However, I am remaking some of Prague in another project, so that's a lot less likely. So back to the level, as you can see there. As in the original, we hopped through a window into a kitchen and we just got ourselves a key, and this opens the gate to an alleyway below. Because this game is made in the TR3 engine, there are some things that were in the original that are missing from this game, but there is also some new content, including what lies beyond this gate. I have restored the deleted training area from this level, and this is one of my favourite parts of the entire game. The gameplay is obviously quite different here because this is the TR3 engine. So if we have a look around, we'll see a keyhole on the gate, and through this gate on our left we'll see a fuse that we need to collect. That's for a little bit later. I do love this view.
Yuck! It stinks in here.
I love that line. That was a little nod to my mum, who sadly passed away earlier this year. She used to like to watch me run around some of my levels, and when she saw this alleyway, she said, "That looks really smelly." And we both had a good laugh about it, and I said, well, I must have done my job well, because that's the environment I was trying to convey. So I put in that as a little homage stroke Easter egg in honour of her, as I thought it would be nice to mark that and remember it. There's also another Easter egg later on in the game.
That wire looks like it will take my weight.
As you've probably seen so far, the gameplay is somewhat different to the original. Lara has to move a box in order to be able to climb up the ladder. But here we can in fact run, jump and grab this wire. We can then use the wire to shimmy to the balcony. I was really chuffed to be able to achieve this in the Tomb Raider 3 engine, as I think this really captures the essence of the original area. At the end of the balcony we can claim a key, and if we drop onto this dirt pile we will not take any damage. Running over to the gate, whoops, Lara always tries to climb through the fence there. We can now use the gate key, and this will take us to another area that was in the original training section. If we look through the fence there, you can just about see some goodies, and if we duck through the gap in the fence, walk over to the bench, we can claim a crowbar. But we're not done here just yet. So before leaving hastily, we can climb on top of this brick pillar and drop down into that area that Lara just tried to climb into. And we can claim a secret. The aha means that Lara found a secret in this game. That is the secret sound. Also, you might have just caught there is a falling leaf from the tree. It's a cool animating object. I'll just wait until it drops again. I love little details like that, and I was so pleased to be able to include things like that in this level. Tomb Raider 3 only has 6 animating slots though, so you are quite limited when making a level in this engine. As was the case in the original level, we'll see a police car cordoning off the end of the street. So we're going to want to go the other way, and the crowbar that we just picked up is going to come in handy here. So I'm going to use it. This is one of 2 places that we could use the crowbar. This one is actually for a secret, so it's completely optional, and you could in fact hang on to the crowbar and use it somewhere else in the level. If we run over to this bench, on the ground is a slightly sneaky key, and this is intentional because it is for a secret. The game shows us a camera of the apartment that we entered right back at the beginning of the level, and we're going to want to return there now that we've found this key. But we're going to get there via a different route. So we're going to continue along this road. From here we're going to want to be cautious.
I don't want to draw too much attention to myself.
We are shown 2 camera views alerting us to the presence of a guard around the corner. And we're going to want to climb up on top of this bin, pull ourselves into the crack, and maneuver around to a balcony. Now all this is to help us to stay undetected. As Lara said there, we don't want to draw too much attention to ourselves, because at the moment we don't have any weapons. And if we use these balconies, we'll be able to stay hidden from the guard. Now it is possible to just run right past the guard and claim the item that we're about to get, and we'll take a moderate amount of damage from him shooting at us, but he won't follow us back to the initial area. So it's up to you how you want to play the game. But this is the intended route. We are able to avoid getting any damage there, and as you saw, a gate opened up in front of us, and that was the gate that we looked at earlier. And this is going to allow us back to the starting area. It's a quick shortcut, so we don't have to go back around the full loop. And we'll now find ourselves back in the very first area. Now that we have the fuse, we can hop on top of the bin and grab the balcony and climb back to the kitchen that we saw at the start. The fuse is going to allow us to raise a trapdoor on the upper level of this alleyway. That will then allow us to do a running jump to the other side. This is in lieu of the strength upgrade system that was in the original game. So let's hop back into the kitchen before we place the fuse, as we have a secret to get. If we run to the back of the room, we'll see this keyhole, and here we can use the secret apartment key that we found earlier. So run into what is a new area that wasn't in the original game. You'll hear Lara go, aha, indicating a secret. And here we can claim some sewer chocolate and a large med pack. I'm not joking, it is actually labelled sewer chocolate if you check the inventory. A bit of fun there. So let's run back through the kitchen, and we can now place the fuse that we found. And we'll see the trapdoor above raising. So some of you might be wondering why I decided to create this game in the TR3 engine. As I mentioned earlier, I'd been wanting to attempt to recreate this level for a very long time. I was experimenting with the classic engines at the time, and I decided to try Tomb Raider 3 as it is the only one that has coloured lighting. I'd never built with Tomb Raider 3 before this, and after seeing a few rooms, I decided that the style of Tomb Raider 3's lighting engine particularly suited the AOD vibe. I also relished the challenge of adapting the gameplay of this level to suit the classic engine. As I began to build more rooms for this level, I could picture how I could easily adapt the gameplay to suit Tomb Raider 3. When I'm working with TR&G, there's always an expectation to script more complicated puzzles, and this takes me quite a lot of time. The inability to do that here was an interesting challenge. It also meant that I was able to complete the levels a lot faster.
Made it. No time to waste. I need to get to Carvier's apartment.
Had I been creating this project in TR&G with all the complex scripting that would require, this project would have taken me years and, quite frankly, wouldn't exist. So I think the classic engine not only provided an interesting challenge, it also meant that I was able to complete this project in a much shorter time. I find building environments takes me a lot less time than creating complex puzzles, and simplifying the gameplay for the TR3 engine was a lot of fun. There are obviously limitations when using this engine, and there is some content missing from this game that was in the original. However, I think this is offset by the new gameplay opportunities and the nostalgic charm that this engine provides.
Police everywhere. I've no weapons, so I must move quietly here.
I decided to keep the original voice lines, as you really can't beat Janelle's amazing performance in AOD. So there Lara warned us about the guard, and he's busy staring at a wall, so as long as we just walk in this area, we'll be absolutely fine. I have even sometimes run there and been fine, but for the sake of the walkthrough I'm going to walk most of the way just to be sure. So once we're around the corner, we can definitely safely run, and we're going to make our way back to this balcony. The trapdoor that we raised allows us to return safely, and it also provides us with a shortcut to get back if need be. So here we are going to use the crowbar that we picked up. Now we could have used the crowbar that we found and the one that opens the area to the secret key. This level is partially non-linear, so we could have chosen to use it in either spot. But if you want the secret, you obviously need both crowbars. Before leaving this metal shack, we can claim some flares from the corner, and now all that remains is to drop back to this balcony, and we can now make our way safely down the ladder into the courtyard below, just as we did in the original game. On this ladder it's safe to use the grab and drop method to descend, and we can now run over to this large apartment building. Just admiring the view, I love this area. We'll be shown a camera view from above, which mimics the perspective of the original, which showed us a view from the helicopter at this point. So that's the end of the first level, and as you saw there, we found both of the secrets. I'm going to save my game here. We now enter the derelict apartment building. I love this little lobby. Let's go upstairs.
Great. There's the key.
Lara gives us an important hint there. There is a key at the bottom of the elevator shaft, and we now see that the police have entered the building. So as I explained previously, because this is the Tomb Raider 3 engine, this necessitates a different gameplay to the original. And I decided to include a little puzzle here involving the elevator. So we're going to need to move the elevator in order to access that key at the bottom of the elevator shaft. And in order to achieve that, we're going to do a little toing and froing between floors. So that button on the wall just opens and closes the elevator door. Over here I'm going to claim some sewer chocolate, and we can now proceed further upstairs. There's no poison gas in this level, which may come as a relief to some. However, if you get spotted by the police, the guy below will start to shoot at you.
I feel stronger now.
I had to include that line somewhere, even though there are no actual strength upgrades. I thought that was a fitting point at which to do so. So move the box out of the way, and we can now enter one of the derelict apartments. And inside there is a key that will come in handy upstairs. As is the case in the original game, we need to ascend the stairs and use this block in order to reach the landing behind us. In this case, it is a running jump. So once we're on this landing, we can now use the key that we picked up in order to enter the elevator mechanism room. And as we enter, Lara is going to look at something. There's a key on the floor that has dropped off the key rack on the wall. And when we pick it up, we'll be shown a camera view of an apartment on the floor below. We can look over to the other side of the balcony, and you'll see there a switch that we need to activate. That is the switch which controls the elevator, and that's going to be very important later on. I'm going to descend here. I will do a jump and grab, because that jump can be a little bit funny because of the way stairs, i.e. bridges, work in the classic engine. You can sometimes glitch through that. There's not much I can do about that, unfortunately. Here we can use the key and enter an apartment after picking up a large med pack, which is quite well camouflaged due to the floor texture. Grab some more sewer chocolate, and then we can pick up a fuse from in front of the cupboard. If we press look and cancel the camera view, we'll be able to see that there's another key hidden behind the stack of boxes. And the reason this is rather sneaky is because that key opens a secret. We now need to make our way back up the stairs, back to the top floor and the elevator mechanism room, as we now have the fuse with which we can activate the elevator. So climb back on the box and repeat the run, jump and grab, and we can enter the room. We also have the secret key, and that is also used in this room. We're going to place the elevator activation fuse first. Now we can place the secret key, and this is going to open the grating above us. And this will allow us to claim a large med pack. When we place the elevator activation fuse, we were also shown a camera which showed that the switch on the other side of the landing that I pointed out earlier is now active. As we make our way over to the switch, we'll see a note on the left hand side that the switch is multi-use. Now this is a very important hint, as it'll be necessary to come back and reuse that switch later. Our end goal is to access the key at the bottom of the elevator shaft, but in order to do that we have to raise the elevator out of the way. So I've dropped down into the elevator, which is now on a lower floor, and there was a button there, as you could see, that opened a lower door. So now what we're going to need to do is return to the top floor and use that elevator switch again. And this is going to raise the elevator back to its original floor. We can then use the lower door that we just opened in order to get underneath the elevator platform. That is the key to this puzzle, as it were. That is going to allow us to access the key that is at the bottom of the elevator shaft. So it's a little bit similar to the puzzle that you see in Opera House in Tomb Raider 2. So we've now raised the elevator again, and we can now descend back to that door that we opened from below. We can now enter the elevator cage on a lower floor, and as you see there, the platform is now back on the upper floor, so we'll be able to get underneath it and climb down and grab the key. I'm just going to intentionally drop through that hole in the floor. Now we can go through the lower elevator door, drop down and claim our key. The policeman is thankfully oblivious to our presence. He can't see us inside the elevator cage apparently. So now we can climb back up and exit the elevator cage on this floor, and now we can make our way back up to the top of the level once again. Whoops, it wouldn't be a playthrough of this level if I didn't fall through that floor at least once. That gap in the floor gets me every time I play this. There is another way to ascend should you choose to. The outside of the elevator cage is actually climbable. It is a ladder, so if you wanted to, you could climb all the way to the top of the level using that. But I think it's more fun to use the stair route. You can do it either way. So run, jump and grab. This is our final time ascending to the top floor, as we now have our key. So we can now use this key and exit the level, and we'll find ourselves in industrial rooftops. I'm going to make a save here, and I would advise that anyone playing does make a save at the start of industrial rooftops before you do any exploring. Unfortunately, there is an occasional crash at the start of this level. It used to happen a lot. After some optimization, it is now an occasional problem, and it usually happens when you look to the left of this roof or when you're sliding down an upcoming roof. So just make a save, and if it does crash, you will be able to reload and play normally. Slide down the zip line and we'll be shot at by a police helicopter as per the original. So slide down this roof. That is the other point where the game sometimes crashes, but hopefully it shouldn't happen as it's now a very occasional thing. So grab the chocolate and drop down. I was very pleased to be able to incorporate the helicopter into Tomb Raider 3. It's done with a turret gun from the Nevada level. So pick up some goodies from the corner of this room and exit onto the balcony.
Maybe I can barge that door open, stand in front of it, and press action.
Now for another mechanic that I was very pleased to be able to incorporate into Tomb Raider 3. If you stand in front of certain narrow doors, Lara can perform a kick and the door will open. We're now going to drop down into the alleyway below. Now if we turn around, we can see there is a ladder. Now this level has two different paths, just as the original did. There are two different routes you can take in order to reach the end of the level. It's really not a long level, but there is one secret to find. Slightly different to the original, we can now jump on top of this cargo container, which allows us to reach a balcony. And be careful, there are some sliding doors, and the other side of these doors there is a fuse. Now we got a camera view and that shows the main stroke intended path, but there is actually another way we can go. Watch out for the dog there. And the other way we could go was that ladder that I was looking at a few moments ago. If we push the other box to reach the ladder, we can just climb straight up the roof, use the fuse and reach the end of the level that way. But we're actually taking a detour. As you can see, we're pushing a different box, and this is going to allow us to get the level's only secret. So I am going to pull out this block. The first block allowed us to move this second block, and this is going to give us enough height to reach this fan. So jump to the top of the fan, and I'm a fan of that. We can now jump over this fence and claim a large med pack secret.
Aha.
You may be thinking, so far there is no ammo at all, and Lara doesn't have any guns. So you may be wondering, when are we going to get some guns? I will say we are going to get a weapon at some point in this game. However, it will not be the pistols, which is very unusual for me. But I wanted to keep this true to the original AOD. So we are in fact going to have a limited ammo for this part of the game. As you saw there, I ran to the end of the alleyway and claimed some flares. And we're now going to make our way back to the other part of the level. We're running past the ladder, and once again we could use that in order to reach the end of the level, but I'm actually going to go this way. We're going to crawl under this garage door and enter a warehouse. And if we run to this wall, we can place the power plug.
Maybe now I can make it across that ledge.
There's only one power plug, so once you place it, you make your choice as to which path you want to take. This is the route you will want to take if you want all pickups, as there are no pickups on the other path. So let's make our way to the upper balcony, and as per the original game, we can now exit this warehouse and we'll find ourselves in another alleyway. We'll need to kick the door open at the end there. We're now going to drop down. Now I wouldn't normally do this, but I am trying to get all pickups in this playthrough in order to show you where they all are. So I just picked up some sewer chocolate there, and lose health to get health. We are getting mauled by this dog, and we'll need to make our way to this fence and climb to the top. There is a way to pull off a quite tricky jump and return to the balcony that I was just on, but I'm actually just going to drop back down. This will return us to the alleyway that we started in, and we can just go back around through the warehouse. This chocolate or med pack was completely optional, and I normally skip it because quite frankly you tend to lose more health than you gain. It's just there for people who fall down or want to explore, and if you do fall down, chances are you'll probably need a med pack because you're likely to get eaten by the waiting security dog. So return to this balcony. We're going to want to make our way to where we can hear the waiting helicopter. This is obviously not good news for Lara, but we're going to have to deal with it. So from this platform we can do a running jump and grab at the balcony above, and we can now kick open another door. So kick the door open, run on inside, and we'll find a ladder. This next upcoming section used to be a cutscene in the original game, but I've actually made this part playable. So we are going to run out and we'll be shot at by the helicopter there. If we run behind the metal hut, we can claim a large med pack. And you might need to use this, that's the reason it's there. It is possible to complete this level no meds, but I took quite a bit of damage, so I'm going to heal and I'm going to do a running jump to these falling platforms. Lara will shriek and will take quite a bit of damage, but it is possible to land safely in the skip, as per the original. And if we run down this alleyway, we will exit the level. Made it! No time to waste. I need to get to Carvier's apartment.
Mademoiselle Carvier, I have just come from Werner's apartment.
And how is Werner?
I'm afraid Werner is dead.
Dead? Werner has been fearful for his life. He accepted a commission 5 weeks ago. The client's name was Aircraft. Since then, he's been acting strangely, jumping at shadows. He even left a package with me for safekeeping.
Package?
His field notebook. He said he wanted you to have it if anything happened to him. You still haven't explained what happened.
There was gunfire. That's all I can recall.
Gunfire? Werner was shot? Did you kill him?
Mademoiselle, I was a good friend of Werner's. I didn't kill him. I didn't!
You don't look convinced yourself, Miss Croft. I strongly suggest that you talk to the police.
It's really difficult to make cutscenes in Tomb Raider 3. The only way you can do so is at the beginning of a level. So I'm really pleased that I was able to include that conversation with Carvier. And once we're done speaking to her, we can explore her apartment. Once we run a little way in, we'll be greeted with a police car arriving. It seems that she called the police on us. And if we explore the kitchen, we can pick up Werner's notebook. She obviously didn't want to give it to us, but we can take it and leave. Behind the screen there are some flares, and there's nothing else to do in this small level. It exists purely for the conversation. All that's left to do is to cross the room, through the open door, and make our escape through the open window. The police have already entered the building, so we'll be able to run past their car as Lara did in the original. We next join Lara as she wakes on the floor of a grotty, grubby subway car. I always wondered why she didn't at least lie on the seat, but oh well, it's accurate to the original. So we can pick up some flares from the carriage, and we can make our way out onto the disused tracks. If we look up, we'll see where we need to go, but first of all we're going to make our way over to this fire, and we're going to collect some more flares. Now there were some NPCs here in the original, but I've chosen not to include all of the NPCs, as the texture limits in Tomb Raider 3 are slightly less forgiving than the original engine, and it's only possible to include full-on conversations at the start of a level. So I've limited the conversations in this game to the most essential ones. Quite frankly, those are the only ones I tended to listen to when playing the game anyway. So for some reason we need a standing jump to climb on top of the carriage. Forward and action doesn't want to work for whatever reason. So do a standing jump, we can claim a med pack from behind the grating, and we can now use the grating in order to climb onto the top of one of these support beams. Looking to our right, we'll see a door and a keyhole. So we're going to need a key, and in order to find this we're going to want to do some running jumps to traverse these beams, and there is a gap in the railings on this side, and we can now run around and pick up the key which will allow us to exit the metro. Now we need to retrace our steps and jump back across the support beams and reach the exit door on the other side. Careful, Lara, it's a long way down. Before we make our way to the exit, we're going to want to follow the path around to the right, as there is some sewer chocolate by this door. This is probably a back door to Le Serpent Rouge, but we'll be exploring that a little bit later on. For now, let's use our metro key in order to exit this area. As we leave this section, we'll be greeted with a familiar face.
Move along, ma chère. You make the place look crowded.
I had to include Janice along with her most famous line. So let's follow her advice and move along and see some more of the level. Now you may notice the horizon there. Unfortunately, Tomb Raider 3's draw distance is quite low. So there are places in this level, which is a big open space, where you will be able to see the blue skybox until the terrain draws in. However, despite that limitation, unlike the original, I was able to include the entire level within a single level, no loading screens. The original level was split into 3 parts in the AOD engine. So let's visit another fan favourite character.
Leave me alone, I'm busy.
So Bernard is too busy to talk to us, so let's explore his park a little, and if we do that we will find a large med pack in the corner. Now it's worth returning to this location later on in the game, as every couple of levels there will be a new pickup to find in this park. This is a favourite location of mine from the original, so I wanted to give players a reason to return here, even if Bernard is apparently too busy to talk to us. So I'm going to go ahead and leave before I make the place too crowded. But before I do, I'm actually going to go ahead and show you a future secret that we'll be able to get. If we look through this grating, we'll see down into the entrance of the subway. There are some goodies behind that gate, but we can't open the gate in this level. We will have to do that at a future point. Let's now make our way to the other side of the level. It's time to visit Café Metro, or Café Metro in the Place d'Arcade, as per the original game. Sorry if that was really bad. I love this little square. I had a lot of fun making this. And if we look outside, there is a very familiar motorbike. Let's say hi to Pierre.
Are you Pierre?
Possibly. What can I get you?
You used to work at the Serpent Rouge. I need to find your ex-boss, Bushard.
You don't look like police.
No, I don't. But I do deal with problems. Sort them out.
In exchange for information about Louis Bushard. That's dangerous information.
I'm a dangerous girl. And right now, I'm losing patience.
I do have a situation that needs tidying. A retrieval job. Something I forgot to pick up from Le Serpent Rouge when I left in a hurry. It's mine, and I want it back.
That's it?
It's small. Small enough to fit inside one of the stage lights.
Okay. I can work with that. How do I get into the club?
This will get you in behind the stage area at the back.
So having conversed with Pierre, we learned that we need to retrieve the mysterious box from the lighting rig. Before we leave the cafe, let's have a quick look around. I absolutely love this level. It's so cozy. Hey Curtis. He's got quite a feast there. So before we leave, I'm just going to investigate this corner. We can now kick this door open, and we are able to collect a secret from this storeroom. I thought it would be nice to give players a reason to investigate the cafe a little further, plus I always used to want to go in there in the original. So that's Cafe Metro done. So now our job is to enter Le Serpent Rouge. However, the method of entry is going to be somewhat different to the original. In the original version, you simply walk up to the door and enter. However, I wanted to provide a little more gameplay for this Tomb Raider 3 version, so it's going to involve a little more work to enter the club. First, let's see if there are any more items in Bernard's park.
Leave me alone, I'm busy.
Bernard is still a busy boy apparently, so let's come over to this wall and collect some more sewer chocolate. Because Tomb Raider 3 does not allow a hub system, this is an entirely new level and new copy of the Parisian ghetto level. So each time you visit the level, things are going to change within the environment. So it's worth keeping an eye out for such changes. Looking to the left there, you'll see the entrance to Le Serpent Rouge, but we have a little more work before we can enter. And speaking of changes, as we run down the street, Lara's attention will be drawn to this panel. The workman has opened a panel which reveals a switch that we can use. This opens a trap door on the building above.
Move along, ma chère. You make the place look crowded.
Sorry, Janice. Let's make a move. Now that we've opened the trapdoor on the side of that building, we're going to need to find a way to ascend in order to reach it. And if we look up, there are lots of platforms, lots of protruding fans from the side of the building. And if we climb the stairs, we can reach this low balcony. We can now climb on top of the fans and use them as platforms in order to traverse to the balcony on which we opened the trap door, and this is directly above the switch that we used. So now we can use this ladder in order to ascend the side of the building, and we can now reach this higher balcony. When we land, we'll be shown this breakable tile and another fan that we can jump to. Now, it is possible to reach the fan once the platform has broken. The platform is just there to make the jump easier. We can enter this disused building via the window, and there isn't a lot in here. What we're going to want is this window on the opposite side, and from here we can now do a running jump to another balcony. Once we've safely landed, we want to make our way to the end of the balcony, where we'll find an open window. Once inside this bedroom, we're going to want to make our way to the cupboard in the corner, and we can use this as a block and climb on top of it. At the back, there is an open ventilation duct, and crawling inside, we find a ladder. We can use this to reach the upper floor of this building. We need to grab and drop in order to pull up. That's unfortunately a Tomb Raider 3 thing. And we need to turn around and back ourselves out of the crawl space. This is all new content that wasn't in the original game, but I wanted to make the entry to Le Serpent Rouge a little more interesting. So now we need to use this coat hanger, which is a zip line. So grab hold of the coat hanger and slide down the zip line, and we'll find ourselves on the lower roof of Le Serpent Rouge. Throwing a switch, we will open a trapdoor on the ground below us. So we can use this ladder to drop down. And the reason we are doing this is because there is a pesky laser beam protecting the access to the club. So even though we have Pierre's access card, we can't use it yet, because if we do, we'll get cut down by that security beam. Instead, we're going to drop into the sewer.
To climb the drain pipe, walk up to it and push forward and press action.
Lara will inform us that the drain pipe is climbable, and you'll find out the reason why we need to use the drain pipe and not jump straight into the water here in a moment. So let's shimmy across, and we will reach a safe platform on the other side. And from here we can hop to another small ledge. You may have caught a brief glimpse there. There is a deadly fan in the water. Had we jumped straight into the water, we would have been sucked towards the fan, and it would not have been a pleasant experience for Lara. So having pulled that switch, we have deactivated the fan, and we can now claim some flares from the alcove, and we can now swim past the fan safely. Speaking of safety, let's walk forwards very carefully, because this is a big troll of a big med pack. And if we had just run towards it, we'd have been cut down by those doors. So be very careful there. Here we have a wheel that we can turn, and you may have caught a glimpse of that through the grating. So here we are going to turn a wheel. This is going to activate the stove next to the switch that we pulled to deactivate the fan. And having activated this stove, you could see there in the camera view that there was a puff of steam coming through the grating. This puff of steam has disrupted the security beam, which means that we can now safely place Pierre's access card in the slot. So climb out of the water, and we're going to want to exit the sewer and make our way to the back door of Le Serpent Rouge. And through the fence on our left we can see the river. I really like the fact you can see the river, which is more detailed than in the original game. I really enjoy that view. And we have completed this instance of a Parisian ghetto. No secrets in this level. And as we enter Le Serpent Rouge, we will be greeted with a camera which shows us a gun. So yes guys, we are getting a weapon finally. However, before we can claim our prize, we're going to need to sneak our way past a pesky guard. So down the hallway we can pull this switch, and this is going to open a grating in the room next to us. And if we run on in, we can pick up some flares, and we're going to want to enter this crawl space. Now I will say it is possible to rush past the guard and just pick up the gun and kill him with it straight away, but I wanted to include a more stealthy route as well. So it is possible to sneak past him into the room and grab the weapon before he sees you. So we want to back ourselves out of this crawl space carefully, and I will say we want to land straight on the gun, because once we reach the doorway he is going to see us and start shooting. So pull out your weapon straight away and then return fire, and you shouldn't lose too much health, and then we can claim the other items. Don't forget about them though, because there is a key on the desk, and this is going to be very important. You could say it is key for us getting into the club. Now we can safely grab this sewer chocolate as well. Just a note about the gun: for each level that you start, you will need to manually select the weapon. It is in the Desert Eagle slot, and that is number 3 on the keyboard, or if you're using a controller, you will need to manually select the gun from the inventory for each level. From then on, you can just use space to draw. Speaking of which, there are lots of guards in here, so we're going to want to pull out our gun and dispose of them. One of them drops some ammo. I'm just going to show you one of the level's secrets. There's a red door to our right, and this leads into the ticket office. But in order to open this, we're actually going to need to find 2 keys, and these are hidden in different places in the level. We see one of these places on our left, but this isn't accessible yet. We're going to need to turn on the music before we can access that. So behind the bar we can claim some sewer chocolate. On top of this crate we'll find some more ammo, and we can also run around to the DJ section, and underneath we'll find a chocolate bar as well. So we're going to need to find a music disc in order to activate the music and to basically set everything going. At the moment the level is looking a little abandoned and a little quiet. Coming down the stairs we'll find ourselves in an area that was originally only accessible via Bernard's route. However, seeing as we can only do the Cafe Metro route in this version of the game, I still wanted to provide this area as a playable section. So if we come over to this corner, we can move this crate, and this is in fact part of the secret. One of the keys is going to be via that area, but we can't get it yet. So I am going to use this switch, And this is going to alert another guard upstairs, but we'll worry about him later. First, we're going to drop down to this trapdoor, and this is going to lead us to the garage. Again, this was another area that was only originally accessible if you chose Bernard's route, but I really like this area, so I wanted to make this playable. Use the switch and we can pull ourselves up, and we'll find ourselves in the garage. And if we take a look around, there are a few things that we can do in here. So we were shown a brief camera view there of the music disc, and this is inside the office area. Pulling the switch on the side of the winch moves the car winch up and down, and this is going to allow us to claim a plug. This basically falls off the bottom of the car, so if you move it up and down you can claim it, and this is going to come in handy in a moment. I am just going around the room collecting a few items, and if we run over to this side of the room we'll see the spot where we can use the plug, and this is going to enable us to raise the trap doors above. So put the plug in place and we will be able to use the switch. Now this switch is timed. It's not a ridiculously short timer, but you will need to be fairly snappy. So jump on top of this block and we can jump up and then do a series of running jumps to clear the trapdoors. We'll need running jumps there because the ceiling is quite low. And we can now reach the top of the office, shoot the grate, and drop down into the office to claim the Surrounded by Green music disc. This is a nod to the Dark Angel Symphony, which is the remastered version of the Tomb Raiders 4 to 6 music, in which this music track is named Surrounded by Green. Now we're going to want to make our return to the main part of the level. It's time to leave the garage as there's nothing more to do in that section. So climbing up the ladder, we will be aware of the guard above us, and he is still in the main area of the club most likely. Careful Lara, don't get stuck on the door. I don't believe he can reach us down in the basement, although he may see us through the grating. So shoot the guard, and we're now going to want to play some music and bring this place to life. So let's head on up to the DJ platform, and we need to insert the disc into this slot on the wall. If we press action here, we will be prompted to use our Surrounded by Green music disc. And the place comes to life. I was so pleased here with how I was able to add coloured lights. This was achieved using a flip map. It turns out the guards aren't too happy that we started the music, so go and deal with the party poopers, and then we can explore the area further. Don't forget to pick up the ammo that the guards drop. As we see here through the red door, which is now opened, there are 2 keyholes. This is how we are going to access the future secret that I was talking about. And we can now use this switch on the wall, which operates the dumbwaiter. And this raises one of the keys that we need. So let's return downstairs and find the crate that we pulled out earlier. This is now going to lead us to that key. So run into this area and we will see a ladder behind us that we can climb. We could have accessed this earlier, but there would have been no point because the dumbwaiter was not active and the key would not have been there. So crawl out and we can grab the key. We'll now need to back Lara out of the dumbwaiter and return down this ladder. And then we can go back upstairs. There's nothing further to do in this room. Now that the music is active, it's now worth our while going upstairs to the upper floors of the club. If we had done this before, we would only be able to go so far up before we would have had to stop and turn around again. So another party pooper guard emerges from this door, so we can deal with him and claim the ammo that he drops. Now to continue along this balcony, we'll want to run around to the opposite side, as there is a block that we can push, which is going to allow us to climb to the lighting gantry above, just the same as in the original game. So once we've pushed the block, hop on top of it, and we can grab the lighting gantry above. Climb on up and let's appreciate the view from this part of the building. We are slowly making our way higher and higher. Let's deal with the guard on this side of the balcony, and we'll see some trapdoors which are now raising and lowering. These were inactive before we activated the music. So I'm going to pick up a med pack, and we're going to go and deal with two guards over this side of the balcony. These guys are a little stubborn, their AI is a bit weird, so they tend to stay over in this corner for some reason. I don't know why, apparently they like it there. And before we go any further, I'm just going to run around and I'm going to open this door. Now this door serves as a shortcut, so this allows us to quickly reach this balcony again without having to climb up. Not that climbing takes that long, but it's quite nice to have the shortcut available. So the next major progression in this level lies across these trap doors. These open and close periodically, as you can see, and were activated by the music, and we're going to need to be quite careful crossing them. However, before we do, I am going to stop off and grab a secret. So I'm just going to hop back down to this lighting gantry, and on this end I can drop down and pull Lara inside the gantry, and we can now crawl through it and around, and this is going to allow us to claim a secret. Those who are eagle-eyed may have spotted the items inside, although they are quite tricky to see. Now we need to crawl to the end, and once we pick up the items, this door will open, and this will allow us to safely return to the balcony below, meaning that we won't lose a huge amount of health, as if we drop out of the other end, Lara would most likely crunch on the floor, and we don't want that. So let's now use our handily opened shortcut to return to the balcony above. And we're now going to want to use those trap doors. In the original version, Lara would grab the gantry that the lights are attached to and use that to ascend to the upper level. But because this is Tomb Raider 3, I had to do something a little different here, and I'm quite pleased with the outcome. So we can make our way across these trapdoors to the other side. There is some more ammo that we can pick up. The reason there's another ammo pickup there is because we will actually need to shoot a grating with the gun. So I wanted to ensure that people had ammo available, just in case they used it all on the guards. As we climb to this window alcove, we will be shown a camera view of a vertical gantry above us, and this indicates that we can run, jump and grab this and use it as a ladder, and this is going to allow us to ascend. For the trapdoors, when you're crossing those, it's a good idea to wait until the trapdoors have just dropped. That ammo ledge or balcony that we were on provides a good pausing point, and you can wait there until the trapdoors have just dropped, and then it's generally safe to cross. We can now jump and turn in midair and grab the top of this control room.
To kick, press action.
Lara gives us a hint that we can interact with this bridge, and as in the original, if we kick it, it will drop down, and this means that we can now jump to the opposite side. If we reach this ledge, we can collect some flares, and we can now make our way back to the original ledge. And if we climb on up this ladder, we will see the lighting rig behind us, in which the mysterious box is located. But we're going to have to do a little work in order to open it. As you can see, it's another enterable rig, and there is a door that we will need to open. First, we're going to want to slide down the slope and make our way across this set of balconies. And above our head here, there is a series of vents that we can climb on, so jump up and grab this climbable surface and use this to shimmy your way to the left, and this will then allow us to pull up in a section that is free from pipe. Just above our heads we can see the infamous box, but we can't reach it yet. So next we're going to want to jump up and grab the underside of the lighting rig and make our way to a balcony on which a switch is located. This switch is going to open the door to the control room behind us, and this is going to allow us to access the lighting rig. So if we open the door, we'll see there is a guard inside. So I'll hop back up and use the lighting rig as a monkey swing once again, and we can cross back to the ledge from which we started. However, before we make our way to the control room, there is the matter of another secret key, and we are now perfectly placed to go and claim that. Having returned to this ledge, we're now going to want to climb on top of this lighting rig, and this is going to allow us to reach the control room. But before we do that, as I mentioned, we're going to take a quick detour to claim a secret key, and you may just catch a tiny flash of red on the balcony opposite. And in order to reach that, we're going to jump to the top of this fan, and then we can turn around and carefully grab one of the support beams above. Pull up and we'll find ourselves at the very top of the level. We're going to want to be careful here as the ceiling is very low. It's very easy to bump Lara's head here and go crashing to your death. So jump to the next beam, and then we can shimmy safely and drop to the balcony below. We can now claim the second key, which is going to open that secret located in the ticket office downstairs. So we're going to make our way across this beam, and we can now enter the ticket office and deal with that final pesky guard. Located within this control room are a series of switches. The small grey switches are the ones which control the lighting rig. However, I am not going to operate those just yet. I'm actually going to use the bigger light grey switch, and this is going to operate a trap door. This is going to open and allow us to descend a ladder. And from here we can kick this door and we'll actually find ourselves back on the lower balcony. This is where opening this stairway is really useful, and this is going to allow us to return quickly to the lower part of the level, as we have to go and grab that final secret before leaving the level. So let's go and run towards this red door that opened, and we now have both keys in order to open the ticket office. I believe I once made it into this area in the original game, but subsequently I've not been able to get in here, so I can't remember how I did it. So I decided to make it accessible in my version of the game. Maybe it was only enterable in the PS2 version. I don't remember, but I did have that version. It's a long time since I played it though. I generally play on PC. So maybe that area was accessible only in the PS2 version. I have no idea if that's the case or not. I'm simply speculating. But in any case, we've now visited that area and claimed a fairly generous secret. I wanted to make it that way because there were 2 keys in order to open it, so you have a fair bit of ammo in there. And we can now use our handy staircase and the ladder that we opened in order to take a quick shortcut back to the control room. And we'll now need to operate the lighting rig puzzle. I believe there's more than one solution to this. At least I think I did it a different way the one time, but the different way doesn't allow you to access an ammo pickup. So there is indeed an optimum solution to this. I still get confused and forget which switches do what, even though I built this. As you can see there, I pulled the left-hand switch on this panel and then the right-hand switch, and this is the optimum solution that I just mentioned. Although, as I said, I think I did manage to do it another way. So let's climb up this ladder and we can now enter the lighting rig. This is fairly precarious. We're going to need to jump over the main part of the floor, so it's probably a good idea to save your game before doing this, as if you miss and fall, then it's a long way down. It is possible to jump and enter this lighting rig without fully completing the puzzle. And if you do that, you can't drop back out of this crawl space. There was a slightly broken camera there as we pulled in, and that showed us a way back out of this lighting rig. That was over in the direction in which I just looked to the right. That was located in such a place that if any combination of the doors are open, you are still able to exit safely without dying. As you saw there, I was able to claim some ammo with this combination of switches, and more importantly, I was finally able to claim the mysterious box located above that broken light. As I picked up the box, a door opened back in the control room, which is going to allow us to exit the level, which we are now free to do as we have done everything. We have both of the secrets, so all that remains is to drop back down into the control room and run through this door. And this is going to lead us to the fire escape on the outside of the building. As we begin this third instance of Parisian Ghetto, if we look to our right, we will see something happening in the corner of the screen. As the level begins, there is a movement in that bottom corner. A trap door opens in the distance, and we might spot our handy worker friend who is now busy at work in the middle of the road. This is because this is the instance of Parisian Ghetto in which the secrets are located. This was a sort of secret area in the original game, even if the original didn't actually have secrets. Because Tomb Raider 3 lacks a hub system, I had to pick one instance of Parisian Ghetto in order to make the secret accessible, as there's no way to detect whether the player has found the secret or not between levels. I wanted to include this area though, as I always used to really enjoy exploring this optional section of the original game. So we can run and jump across this gap. It's a long way down, however there are some items at the bottom of that sewer. We're going to come back for those in a second. Before we do, we are going to climb this ladder, and we want to make our way into this very dusty, cobweb-filled room, and we can claim some flares on top of a box, and we can also kick open this door. This is going to lead us to the very top of the room that we just went through. If we run around to this side of the balcony, we can pick up some cash, a bundle of cash, and we'll get a camera view showing us that Ren's pawn shop has now opened for business. Now that we have some cash, it's worth our while visiting that shop. Finding that cash also counted as a secret. There are several secrets within this secret area. We're now going to want to run and jump back to the other side of this balcony, and we now need to make our way to this ladder. Now, a word of warning, this ladder is very finicky. I have died on this thing countless times, so it's really not worth using the grab and drop shortcut here. Lara just says no and falls off. So don't do it. It's not worth it. You'll spend way more time reloading and trying it than you will just climbing down normally. Trust me, I've done it. So we're going to want to very carefully make our way to this alcove, and this large med pack counts as another secret.
Aha.
I have no idea why this particular ladder is so finicky. I think it might be something to do with the fact that it goes between a lot of portals, but unfortunately I'm not able to do anything about it. But it's only for a secret. And the next item that I'm about to claim isn't even that. It's just a pickup and a chocolate bar at that, so it's only a small med pack. From here we can just drop down, it doesn't matter, we won't take any damage. So it's really up to the player whether you can be bothered to climb to the bottom of the sewer and pick up that sewer chocolate, or whether you just want to leave it there. I usually leave it there, but for the sake of this walkthrough I'm going to climb down and pick it up in order to show you. So now we have the long climb back up this ladder to the top of the sewer. You may or may not have noticed that I like giving people a reason to explore areas, and in order to make this top section of the wall climbable, I have to apply the ladder to the entire wall, which provides people a way to the bottom of the sewer. So I thought I may as well hide something down there just to give people a reason to explore it, seeing as the entire wall would be climbable anyway. I do like to reward exploration in my levels, so there'll be lots of items that you can pick up that aren't necessarily needed. They're just there in case people fancy exploring. So we have come to this side of the sewer. There is a fourth passageway that we won't be exploring because there isn't actually anything to claim down that end. On that ladder you don't need to climb at all, you just need to do a backflip and we can reach the ledge behind us. Be careful of the pipe, and this side we can grab a crack in the wall and pull ourselves into a vent. I included another ammo pickup there because we are actually going to need to use the gun here to shoot out a grate, and I wanted to make sure that people had ammo for the gun. Once again you'll have to select the weapon manually because this is a new level. We can now back ourselves out of this crawl space.
Aha.
We'll now find ourselves in the subway that we saw a long time ago through that gate from Bernard's Park. So we can pick up our goodies and exit, and we'll find ourselves in Bernard's Park. Bernard has gotten bored and gone home. Apparently he did actually have some things to do. So now, as we leave the park, I am going to point out the spot that we would have exited the subway from had we taken that other path. As I said though, there were no items to claim there. That manhole cover just on our right is where we would have emerged. Instead though, I'm going to make my way to Ren's pawn shop. and I'm going to use some of the back alleys this time in order to show off a bit more of the level, albeit the darker, more grimy areas. Here we will emerge at the top of the stairs where we saw Janice earlier. Janice is gone now though. Our worker friend is still in the middle of the road, highlighting the entrance to the secret. And we can now enter Ren's pawn shop. Now that we have some cash to spend, we can go up to the counter and we can place the cash and buy ourselves some ammo.
Aha.
And that's our fourth and final secret of the level. I would have ideally liked to include a Ren voice line there, however unfortunately I couldn't because of this transition. When you cross out of the door you re-trigger the looping music track. And if I trigger a short, non-looping audio track in Tomb Raider 3, it breaks the ability to transition between looping tracks. I wasn't able to figure out a solution to this, and nobody I asked was able to help with that either. So unfortunately, I just had to drop the Ren voice line from that section. And that is a reason for the location of some of the other NPCs. If they were to talk, there couldn't be any looping track transitions in the same level.
Did you...
You were right about the place being staked out. There were gunmen all over the place.
You got it? Ah!
Information first, Pierre. Bushard's whereabouts.
All right. Bushard is lying low. I know someone who can show you where.
You can trust them? This person you know?
Just about. Name of Francine. She's my ex.
Reassuring.
This is her address. And the code for the gate.
And she can point me to Bushard? You sure?
Oh, absolutely. She knows a discreet route to the back of the premises.
Okay. And if this doesn't work out, I know where to find you. Don't I, Pierre?
As in the original, now that we have returned the mysterious box to Pierre, he has now provided us with the access card to Francine's apartment. The door to the storage room is now open and there's no longer a secret in here, but we can claim a bar of chocolate. As we can see, Curtis is no longer here and it is now time to leave as there's nothing else to do in this particular level. So now that we have the access card to Francine's apartment, we can progress to Bushard's hideout. You can see the access card slot on the wall there to our left, and you may be wondering, why am I running past it? Well, I'm going to make one final pit stop at Bernard's Park, as there is one more item that we can find here. If we hop over the railings into this grassy area, we can claim some flares. And it's now time to go and visit Francine. We will be visiting this level one final time after Bushard's hideout. However, there won't be anything to find in the park on that occasion. So come over here and we can use the access card which Pierre gave us in exchange for the mysterious box, and we'll now be able to enter this alleyway. And if we go up the stairs, this will trigger the end of the level and we'll find ourselves in Francine's apartment.
Bushard is in the old church. You need to find the mausoleum in the churchyard. It leads down into the church basement.
Is this the best way?
It's the only way past the doorman. Watch out for the ledges. They are dangerous.
Where isn't these days?
Welcome to Paris.
So having chatted with Francine, we can now take a look around. There's nothing to pick up in this apartment, though I do really enjoy this room. It's so cozy. All we have to do is kick open the door and make our way onto the balcony. As Francine warned, we'll want to watch our step here, as there is a very long, deadly drop from this balcony. If we drop down, we can shimmy past the ladder, as we're going to want to climb up this side. We can climb both sides, but climbing the other side isn't going to get you anywhere. So if we climb up this side of the ladder, we can now access an upper balcony. And as Francine warned, we'll want to be careful because these platforms break if we run on them. So from here we can hop onto this roof and slide down, grab the edge and shimmy along. I'm going to drop down onto this balcony. This is completely optional. This provides a way back up if you do fall, but there is one pickup that we can get from this courtyard. So I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to deal with the dog and then claim a chocolate bar from inside this kennel. Now this is completely optional. I normally don't bother coming down here, but as I said previously, I do like to provide rewards for those who choose to explore. That's not a real door at the end of the alleyway, it's just there as part of the immersion. So now we can climb this ladder back to the roof. And once we reach the roof, we're going to want to use another coat hanger zip line in order to reach the opposite balcony. The reason this level is called a Bushard's hideout and not St. Acard's graveyard like the original is because both levels are in fact combined. So it made more sense to me to call it Bushard's hideout, as that is where we will ultimately end up. So let's pull onto the roof and we can now slide down the zip line on the coat hanger. This level has a slightly more autumnal vibe than the original, albeit I feel like it still conveys the same atmosphere. I do love autumn and not too many levels feature autumn foliage. As you saw there, Lara can safely drop to the top of that tomb and not take any damage. We're going to want to draw a weapon as we're going to be greeted by a couple of rather vicious guard dogs. So don't let them take any health. And we can now take a look around. I'm going to show you the ultimate goal of this area first. So I'm going to climb on top of this tomb. We can then make our way across this set of tombs or mausoleums and grab this far one on the opposite side of the cemetery, and this is going to allow us to hop over the fence so that we can enter this enclosed area. Here we find our goal for this area. There is a particular shaped tombstone with a Roman numeral beneath it. This indicates that we need to find 5 of these tombstones with a matching shape and Roman numeral. And there is another one hidden just behind. Now this is the first one. We're going to need to find 4 more of these hidden around the cemetery. As you saw there, I also flicked a switch and this opened the gates to this area. So this means we don't have to hop back across the tombstones, although I do quite enjoy that platforming. I always liked that in this level. Here we just found another of those matching tombstones, and we can also find some flares hidden behind one of the mausoleums and defend ourselves from another nasty guard dog. I love this little scenery area. I wanted to provide a nice view through the gate. So we now have 3 more of those matching tombstones to find. So let's explore the graveyard a little further. You can step on these tiles in any order. The order doesn't matter as long as you find all of them. Stepping on all 5 of those tiles is what ultimately opens the trapdoor. Next, I'm going to run down to this end of the graveyard and visit this tile. This is where the entrance would have been in the original had you taken the Bernard route or simply paid the doorman. So now for the final tile. I'm going to climb on top of this mausoleum. This is going to allow me to hop over into this fenced area. Here we find a small virtual memorial that I included for Mum. I had to put something like this in the level. It just seemed so fitting. So we can turn to our right and find the final stone that we search for. This one is number 3, and there you saw the trap door. This leads to Bushard's hideout, and it is now open. So all that remains is to hop back on top of the mausoleum and jump back over the fence. There'll be another waiting guard dog. And here I'm just going to use the gravestones to hop back into the area with the trapdoor. I could just go through the gate, but I just like doing it this way. So let's grab the top of this nearby mausoleum and hop back over the fence. So now it is time to drop down into the mysterious Bushard's hideout. We'll find ourselves in a sewer, and we can surface. This one part of the water is deep enough to break our fall, and we can now make our way down this passageway. There are some breakable tiles here. This area is one big loop as it was in the original. This ladder on the left is a new addition, and this is to prevent anyone from soft locking if they accidentally fall into this pit and leave the breakable tiles in place. The way we need to progress is to grab this shimmy crack in the wall and make our way to the other side of the pit. Recreating this area in the level editor was a real fun challenge, as it's all diagonals. It was a circular environment in the original, and I think I've managed to create that feeling here using the diagonal walls. Next we can run across these breaking tiles and land on this platform. We have a couple of options here. We can either grab the ceiling and use the monkey bars to reach a further ledge, or we can drop down into this pool of water. And I'm actually going to do that as there is some ammo to collect in the water. And the reason that I have included ammo here is because we will have something to shoot here in a moment. You may have noticed, if you've checked the inventory, that the ammo counter goes up by 10 every time we load a new level. And this has to do with the fact that in order to achieve no pistols and just the vector weapon or Desert Eagle weapon in this game, similar to the original, I have to manually remove all weapons in every level. This is how it works in Tomb Raider 3. And then I have to manually give Lara the Desert Eagle with each new level. And this means that the ammo counter increases by 10 with every level. This isn't ideal, but it's just the way that I could achieve this in Tomb Raider 3. I don't want Lara to have her pistols at this point in the game. As you saw there, we had to use the weapon in order to break a shatterable platform, which is why I provided some ammo just in case people were out. And then, as in the original, we pulled the block out of the way, which meant that we could access the corridor that was behind us when we dropped down into this sewer. And now we are reaching the basement of St. Eckhard's Church, which is where Bushard is hiding out. There's something scary waiting for us in this room.
What?
Here we find the Tomb Raider 3 equivalent of poor Arnold. He has mutated, so be careful you don't get too close to him when he's spewing poison. Now we can pull this switch and we'll find the beginnings of a quick puzzle here. So this wasn't in the original, but I felt that it would be quite cool to make a puzzle out of this. It's not that complicated, it's just a few lever pulls. So run into this room and we can pick up some flares. The observant among you may have noticed this block. Yes, this block is movable, so we're going to pull it out, and this is going to reveal another switch. So let's drop down and pull the switch and see what it does. This actually opens another door. Now this provides us with another way into Arnold's area. And what this is going to allow us to do is to run back past Arnold and pull this switch. And this is going to close some of the doors, but it's also going to open the door that we need to access. So we can go around through the other door that I opened in that section, and we can now access this section of the mausoleum. We find another block to pull, and this block is going to allow us to reach an upper ledge in this room. It's above the entrance door. And we don't need to move the block too many pushes. I think these 2 pulls should be enough. So now we can hop on top of it, and we should be able to reach the ledge nicely from here. So pull up and use the switch, and this is going to open the door to Bushard's room. So let's go and say hi to Bushard. I'm sure he'll be happy to see us. A quick look at the stats. There are no secrets in this level.
What happened to your man in the room out there, Bushard?
To Arno? You've got something to say about that?
Maybe. You helped a friend of mine a while back. Werner von Croy.
I remember. 4 weeks ago. Wanted to take a coachload of Japanese tourists to see the Mona Lisa.
Easy, Bushard. I lost that friend yesterday. Now I'm wanted for his murder.
Yes, the Academy. Wanted access to recent archaeological diggings inside the Louvre. I gave him contact. You want the same?
And more. I need 9mm protection. Paris isn't safe these days. Do you have what I need?
I know who does. Daniel Ren works out of the pawnbrokers on the corner of the Rue Saint-Marc and Cour la Seine. A trade. I have to get certain things into his hands. Passports. You could deliver them for me?
Okay, deal.
You may notice that the conversation is a little briefer than the original, but I needed to cut it down to just the essentials, as there are no dialogue options in Tomb Raider 3, and I didn't want it to go on for too long. Here we have a chocolate bar, and as we approach this door it opens, providing us with a quick escape from Bushard's lair. If we kick this door it'll open, and we'll now find ourselves at the side of St. Achard's Church. And as indicated by Bushard, we now have to make our way to Ren's pawn shop. If we claimed the secrets earlier on, then we will have already visited the shop. So this is now our second visit. This is also our final time visiting the Parisian ghetto level. And I like to try and vary my route through the buildings. So run past the manhole cover, our trusty workman friend has gone. We can see in the distance that the door to Ren's is now open, regardless of whether or not we found the secret earlier. Let's make our way inside. It's eerily quiet compared to earlier. There is no Ren behind the counter, and there's a gap in the mesh, so we can duck through that hole and make our way behind the counter. And if we go into the back room, oh no! Ren has been brutally murdered, and we can see the marking left by the monstrum. Oof, not pleasant. If we venture further into Ren's back room, we can hear an ominous beeping. There is the explosive device. To our left is the trap door that we need to make a note of, as very soon we'll be required to make a very hasty exit from this establishment. And if we walk over to this corner, I'm going to save my game, we can see our dual pistols. We need to be ready to make a hasty exit.
Damn it.
I'm just going to show you what the item is called. Yeah, just kidding, you can't draw the weapons yet. We need to hop down through this trapdoor, which is now opened. There's another trapdoor at the end of the hallway. We need to keep running and not look back. You can find out for yourself what happens if you linger in the shop too long. Keep to the right down this sewer, and we'll see Curtis at the end. And we can now make our escape. That is the end of this chapter of the game. I hope you enjoyed both this walkthrough video and, of course, the actual level itself. I'm so far undecided as to whether I will complete the rest of the Paris levels. I will see how this game is received and also how life goes. This has indeed been a difficult year, but I really wanted to release this part of the game, seeing as this first chapter was almost complete already, and I thought it would be a good time while people are excited for the official remaster of AOD. So I'd like to thank all my beta testers there, and there is also another tribute to Mum. Unfortunately, as you can see here, the Tomb Raider 3 stats are a little broken, and there's not a lot I can do about that at the moment. However, if you look carefully on this screen, there is a bonus password. So what's that all about? Well, I mentioned completing the rest of the Paris levels, and I had in fact finished one of them already. So I decided to include that level as a bonus demo for anyone finishing the game. You'll be able to use that password on a zip file in the level folder. This unlocks Load Any Level. Scroll to the bottom of the list and you will find Tomb of Ancients. This is my favourite level from the Beneath the Louvre section, and I completed this one before any of the others. So seeing as this one was just about finished, I decided to include it as a bonus demo. I love the colours in this level. Run to the opening and we'll get the iconic camera view of this huge area with the bats flying. I'm going to save my game here, as this level can be a little treacherous. We'll have to watch our step here. And this is another ladder which we shouldn't use the grab and drop shortcut on, as if you do, Lara is likely to fall to her demise. So let's not do that. Let's carefully grab this alcove. I do think that happens on ladders when they go between portals. At least that's how it seems to behave. We can jump to this ledge and then to another alcove. And let's just take a moment to appreciate the view. This place is huge. I've always loved this level, as well as the vibrant colours. Those bats always manage to startle me in the original game too. I had to include them there though. So let's drop down safely to this area, and we'll now find ourselves on the iconic bridge that I always think of when I think of this level. Looking down, we'll see what I've heard sometimes nicknamed the Agent Fog effect. And it's true, I do love to use that effect, and I think it fits very well in this level. We can claim a large med pack here, and now we're going to want to make our way back across the broken bridge. Run, jump and grab to the other side. And now we're going to want to jump to this platform, as there was a statue here which is now broken, and this is going to allow us to drop down safely. I'm not sure if I'm the only one, but I always struggled to find the legitimate path downwards in this level. I always managed to cheese it somehow in the original. So here we can drop to another safe ledge, and from here we can jump to this wooden support beam. And now for another thing that I was really chuffed to be able to include in Tomb Raider 3, we have this iconic pull switch that is synonymous with AOD, as well as the stone platforms which extend from the wall. These things are pretty amazing. So thank you to the person who made these. Now we need to jump across these platforms, and we can make our way safely to the ground. Drop down, and we can now shoot the skelly enemy. Unlike in the original, you can actually kill them, which is quite handy. Now we need to crawl our way into this gap and find another of the pull lever switches. Pull that switch, and we can now change over the platforms to a different configuration. As we crawl out of the gap, we'll be met by another skeleton. So let's put him out of his misery and make our way over to this broken part of the bridge. We can use that to hop up onto the lowest platform, and we can now make our way back to the top of the room. Well, not quite the top, about halfway up. There is a platform which contains a switch. So we're going to want to pull that in order to open the trapdoor at the very bottom of this room. So turn around, we can platform to the ledge behind us, and I find platforming in this a whole lot easier than in the original, albeit I did used to really enjoy this section, hence why it's my favourite level from AOD. So let's hop back down, and from this platform we're actually going to want to drop to the one directly below us, as that is the correct way to descend. If we try going back the other way, Lara's going to hit her head on the platform behind us. So here we can jump to the final platform and now drop down to the base of this room safely. And now we can drop down into what always reminded me of a mine shaft. I'm not sure if that's what it is, but that's what it looks like to me. And over here we can kick this door open and find a not so secret that was in the original game. I thought this made sense as a secret, as it was originally a strength upgrade. So now we can claim our shotgun. And you've probably noticed, as I've been using them, we also have the dual pistols in this level. If I am to complete the Under the Roof section, it will feature the dual pistols. However, I decided not to include them in the first Paris chapter, as I wanted to feature an authentic AOD experience for that part of the game. It always made sense to me that she would find them at Ren's when she got her supplies. So here we can pull a switch. I love the floor effect in this room. And we want to dodge the darts. I didn't do a very good job of that here. We'll need to be swift as this door is timed. And we're almost at the end of this demo level, so it doesn't matter that we are poisoned. Run down this hallway, and this is another door that we can kick open. And once we run inside, we will reach the finish trigger, as this is as far as I have built. Ignore the secret counter there, that's wrong. I had forgotten to update the script when I recorded this video. So that was the demo from Under the Louvre, Tomb of Ancients. We've now played the entire game. I do hope you enjoyed. I hope you had as much fun playing / watching this as I had building it. Not bad for what was originally intended to be a quick Sunday afternoon experiment, a style unit purely for my own enjoyment. That's how a lot of my projects tend to begin. In any case, we've reached the end of the video. If you did enjoy, I would really appreciate a like, and that you would also please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so that you're notified the next time I upload one of these author playthroughs or another of my videos. Thank you for watching. This is AgentXP, TTFN.